So, yeah, but with that, there was enough bandwidth and liberty, still freedom of expression that he gave, that I'm going to design the moves around what the music comes out to be. We were not exactly, we were not stuck. It has to be this way. If like um, an upright bass playing in Hungarian folk, if pata nahi. Can you? Does it play? Maybe it does. I don't know. Maybe tomorrow they'll play. But yeah, so those liberties we did take. Arrangement wise, it was pretty much open field as long as we don't sound too un-Hungarian. So within that spectrum, there was enough to play around with. Rest was a lot of, I wouldn't say trial and error, but yeah, tweaks to make it work to what he heard in his head, or the way he saw the whole thing in his head. Because he was very clear in his head of what he wants. So it was just the matter of getting it out of his head. That and then since there was not too much of vocal recording as such, it was primarily musical. So not counting that, I'm saying in the soundtrack. So then it was pretty much, I wouldn't say electronic, but yeah, a lot of sample stuff, and but then everything had to be played. So it was a long, lengthy, tedious process, but very, very, very enjoyable. Very enjoyable. I heard a lot of. Yeah, there's a hand behind there. Do you need a mic?
Hello, sir. So, like you said, you produce the music with your own two hands. So, did you name it? The music itself was an adventure. I was sitting here, I was listening to it, and I felt like dancing on it. So, have you named it something like the musical piece?
No, because these were created specially for this production. Yeah, so yeah, they have their individual names. Like if you there is Mizo's journey into the woods where he meets the devil for the first time. Um, no, but to answer your question very straightforward, they don't have particular names. It's more as part of the story. So it was created for this story. So it was, I would name it as part, in the context of the
It's
story
become a
itself.
story.
Yeah. So it needed to tell the story. So it doesn't have a name by itself now.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you. So,
this particular folktale which I just saw, it was really, really good. Like each and every single dancer who was dancing, it was like on point. Every single music beat was on point to what the dancers' moves were. So it was a really interesting way of showing a folk tale, a folk story. So I just wanted to ask that how much hard work, difficulty, challenges were behind it before such a good product came out.
I will just try to give Gabor's experience and then I'll let each of the dancers talk about it. Well, as a wife, you try to be supportive, and I helped him with the script, and I'm also a dancer. He tried to put me in the piece, but thankfully, for the sake of our marriage, I decided that's not a great idea. So I provided the support, but I think he was just extremely lucky with the dancers that came his way and the collaborators that he had. He's very personally attached to the piece, and I think it's a year's anniversary now, I think, since this cast has been working together. There are two members of the cast that are not here because the original Duck has her board exams going on. Yeah, she's, her name is, sorry, I forgot, Sahira. I didn't want to say Sasha. Sahira, and Sahira has her board exams going on, so there's a bit variation in the ages. And I remember even then Sahira used to bring her books to the studio, and she has, 2-3 pieces in the dance. And my niece is the same age, so how Gabor would teach Sahira and coach her would be different from how he would coach Sirisha, who's much older. So it was like a little family by the end of it. There was Gabor and there's little 16-year-old who's bringing her textbooks to the rehearsal. And so it was really interesting. He'd come home with great stories, frustrations. But I think it's their anniversary today. So I let Shirisha. Shirisha has been a real part of the team. Shirisha and Lakshman are a part of the original cast. As you can see, they were most of the time on the stage. So I'll just let each of them, and then Deekshika and Noor, the newer members of our team, just share their experience.
Hi, I'm Shirisha, and I played Misa's wife and the Devil's wife. So honestly, for me, as an artist, as a dancer, the most interesting thing was to play both the characters. And then at the same point of time, I didn't have much time to change my mood or whatever. I had to just switch and be in one character, switch and be in the other. But as a person, I'm more of a person who would, when listen to a piece or I'd really dive into it, listen to it, be there, and then really be in that character. But to completely change that as a person was quite a journey for me. And Master, I remember, he always used to tell me that, it's so difficult for me to do this devil's character with you because you have such a sweet smile. And usually I would take it as a compliment. But that day I was just like, oh no, this is not going to work out for me. But in the end, he was really, really happy, and he said some really nice things about how he really wanted me to do it again. And I got the opportunity to dance it again. So it was a real experience for me. Also, since Master is not here, I would really like to tell a little bit about him because he's one person who's given us a lot of freedom as dancers, I believe, to put our own self into the piece. It was difficult, obviously, sometimes I had to tap into my evil side, which I generally try not to, but then in the devil's piece, obviously, I had to. So all of these experiences were very different for us, but at the same point of time, he was giving us so much freedom and so much originality with so much guidance at the same point of time. I always complimented him for it, and I think him as a person has been a very influential person in our lives, all our lives. And this is something like with Hungarian Embassy also, I always felt like sometimes we've always wanted that exposure to go and share us as dancers to them and them as dancers to us. So that created kind of this platform which I've always wanted in my life to, just somehow bring everybody closer through it. And that was something really nice that came out of this piece. Thank you.